Retrenched mine workers were to have turned up at the banned Drayton project near Muswellbrook this morning. At the last minute, they decided to wait until after a meeting of delegates to the new Open Cut Mining Union Liaison Committee. In contrast to the flurry which heralded its birth, the first meeting of the committee was a subdued affair. The 8 delegates and elected officials took over the saloon bar of Singleton's Criterion Hotel, and while tavern patrons refreshed themselves, in seclusion the committee heard reports of the discussions taking place at government ministerial level. Meanwhile, 40 kilometres away at the mine site itself, Drayton General Manager Mr Darcy Wentworth was announcing that the company would not have taken on any workers today anyway. Mr Wentworth said he's hopeful discussions between Ministers Hills, Stewart and Sheehan, industry representatives and union leaders will bear fruit.
Well, I'm expressing hope rather than complete confidence, but I believe the tenor of the discussions this week, the active involvement of the state government ministers on an almost continuous basis, and the many discussions that we have had with the mining unions have indicated that everyone really is thinking about a solution seriously, and so what we've decided to do is to give it a few more days and see if that can come to fruition.
When delegates at the Singleton meeting heard news of the Drayton announcement, they too took a conciliatory line.
We're prepared at the moment to wait a short period of time, continually monitor the situation, in particular regard the 3 government ministers that are meeting at this time, and we will make further decisions early next week on them decisions.
The Northern President of the Miners' Federation, Mr Bill Chapman, says negotiations are at a delicate stage. Mr Chapman said the situation is the most promising since talks began 2 months ago following the first National Consultative Council meeting. What the unions have been wanting is assurances on future employment for those already in the industry before any new developments are allowed. It appears this may be close. An aggregate meeting of all unions involved in mining will be held at the Branxton Showground at 10 o'clock next Wednesday morning. A meeting of electrical trades union members, which was to have been held on Tuesday, will now take place before the main event.
It's a way of life where the only limitations on the imagination are the confines of the mind. That's the philosophy of the Rembukan karate devotees. 200 enthusiasts travelled from as far afield as Canberra, Tamworth, Taree, Goulburn and Brisbane to take part in the 3-day training camp. The drawcards were the instructors, many of whom have spent time in Japan studying various aspects of Rembukan, and the chance to spar with members of other clubs. Chairman of the Rembukan Karate Do in Newcastle, Mr. Orr Brooks, explains the art behind John Strang's demonstration of the 500-year-old samurai-style sword fight.
John Strang has just come back from Japan. I think he's been there about 20 months. John is an excellent exponent of Tatsumi-ryu, which is classical sword, and John also has a 2nd degree in Okinawan Goju-ryu Rembukan Karate. John is an excellent student. He's done very well to become a Nidan, and he's the only Nidan in Australia in Tatsumi-ryu.
The concentration required is phenomenal.
Kata is called Samsun, which means the training of the mind, the body and the spirit. In the old days they used to believe that doing this for 2 hours every day would make them immune to any blow that could be delivered by anyone.
The camp concludes late tomorrow afternoon. At the end of the 24-hour NBN telethon in March, a massive $1,401,000 had been raised. The organisers and the recipients were ecstatic at the wonderful result and were astounded by the generosity displayed by the people of a so-called depressed region. Then the arduous task of collecting the money began. The organisers were confident all money pledged would be received, but they had once again underestimated the generosity. After almost 2 months, the original figure has climbed by some $300,000, as NBN's telethon manager Mr Jeff Dean explains.
In the bank at this time, in the form of donations, $1,709,494. I should point out also that the money is in an interest-bearing account. It's in a trust account, and on top of that figure, we have collected another $26,000 in interest.
Last night, as a way of saying thank you, a ticket was drawn out of the barrel and a lucky lady from Edgeworth won a cruise for two.
Well, there we are. It's L. Pritchard Lean, 22 Murchison Avenue, Edgeworth.
And that's the name and that's the address.
Now the only questions that remain are when will the next one be and which cause will benefit from the 1984 NBN telethon. The 20 members of the Queensland Ballet Company arrived in Newcastle last night for their 4-night season at the Civic Theatre. The company's artistic director, Mr Harold Collins, explains the strange history of the French ballet the company will perform.
The lady who created the role, Emma Livy, died. She was burnt to death. Her costume caught fire during performance. She died 2 months later. And the thing was that in the ballet itself, in the story, the girl that is turned into the butterfly actually dies from being burnt to death. So it happened to the lady who danced it. And I think that this put a jinx on the ballet, which meant it wasn't performed until Richard Bonning found the music sitting in the Paris archives about in 1976. And of course this is the first production in Australia, and the Queensland Ballet is only the 3rd company in the world to have a production of this very beautiful classical ballet.
Mrs Frater has been a member of Toastmistress International for 17 years now, and she says the skills she has learnt as a member of the club have helped her enormously.
I've found it's been tremendously helpful to me in my business, simply because I've been able to handle situations that I would never have been able to handle prior to my Toastmistress training. The training that you get in Toastmistress is purely on a learning by doing situation where you actually practice, and you learn by practice. We do a certain amount of formal teaching, but it's mostly by practice within a group of people who are interested in doing the same things as you, and you're evaluated on your progress and you improve as you go along, and it works.
Well, Australian rules at New South Wales at present, there's about 20,000 senior players, and we're really out to increase the numbers of juniors, school competition, also junior competition within clubs.
Do you see yourselves as rivals to the league players?
No, not really. In fact, I have to this week go to North Sydney Rugby League Club to help them as far as kicking routines. So like whatever assistance we can give them, we do, but we're just out there to try and help children play sport.
hillside climber certainly gained the attention of shoppers with his antics, but building authorities weren't pleased to have his company.
And I'm demanding you get off the building. Would you like us to remove a window pane and assist you in coming inside? No. Well, you're trespassing, and we want you to leave the property.
So there was only one thing for it, to come down again.
There it goes.
The man's display of mountaineering skills earned him the cheers of the gathered crowd and a ride in a police car.
Tom Petronov of the United States has set a new world javelin record of 99.72 metres.
Felt easy. You know, when you throw it real far, it just is real easy. It didn't feel like anything. I got right through the point. I was relaxed and smooth, and it just happened.
Firemen say the blaze started in the lounge room of the house when burning material became dislodged from an open fireplace. The owner of the property, Mr. Mark Manning, was leaving the house when he noticed it was alight and called the fire brigade from the property next door. Firemen from Waratah, Tarro and Tyers Hill had the flames under control within minutes, but were unable to save the weatherboard house. The sections of the house not destroyed by flames have been irreparably damaged by smoke and water.
Lions centre David Irwin scored a try following a surging break from scrum half Terry Holmes.
Links to the three quarters. Irwin, all the way.
Auckland attacked constantly and were rewarded near the end.
The second drop goal attempt by Fox, and this time it's on target for the young fly half to give Auckland the lead. 4 minutes only remaining.
This is the 10th year of the Arts Council Drama Festival. This year's adjudicator Audrey Blaxland today watched rehearsals by members of the Newcastle Young People's Theatre for tonight's production of Cloud Over the Morning. Mrs. Blaxland is a well-known teacher of speech and drama in Sydney, and in her acting career has played several leading roles. She has been asked to award trophies and cash prizes for the best productions and individual performances in various categories.
Audrey, what's the aim of the Drama Festival?
The aim of the Drama Festival is to encourage as many people as possible, both contestants and audience, to take a vital interest in live theatre.
What are you looking for in your actors?
I'm looking for dedication, whether they're young or experienced, and a belief in what they're doing.
There've also been a few productions on last night. What's the standard been like so far?
Excellent. If the rest of the festival standard is as good as the standard presented last night, we should have enormous audiences. If we don't, they're going to miss a treat.
Both adults and children will be performing for the public at the University Drama Theatre tonight and next Friday and Saturday.
What? You listen to slogans? Yes.
In the Hunter Valley, the House with No Steps Awareness Week display opened today at the Charlestown Shopping Mall. The opening was performed by NBN's Mr Des Hart in the presence of organisation officials, including the Regional Director, Hunter Valley House with No Steps, Mr Leslie Churchyard. The aim of the display is to show the public what the organisation is involved in. That is, the dedication to the total rehabilitation of all types of disabled people. Training doesn't only have a vocational aspect, but also relates to social, domestic and recreational skills. At Crowders Bay, 45 trainees are presently in the workshop learning various work skills. The Hunter Valley House with No Steps' next project is to establish a horticultural nursery on the land at Crowders Bay. The rehabilitation work being done by the organisation covers a wide range of activities. Its role in the community is invaluable.
Mate, top of the world at present. The NBN International Pairs 1984 is on again, and that's a great feeling for all of Newcastle. I can assure you of that. It's great.
Terry, at this stage, do you know how many countries will be invited to compete?
Yeah, as before, there'll be 8 countries: England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, Hong Kong, America, Canada and New Zealand, plus all our states, ACT and our own champion pair, of course.
Have you got a Newcastle club in mind as yet?
Yes, Mike, the executive have decided that we will be approaching Cahaiba Bowling Club. They had the first. They set the foundations for 6 wonderful tournaments, and we feel that it's only fitting that this one's very important to us, and we're going to ask Cahaiba if they'd like to do it again for us.
The 1983 TAA Claridge 25's Prestige Triples was unfortunately abandoned at the Katara Bowling Club today due to the inclement weather. However, Don Elsley, with 4 games and 37, was declared the winner, and a fine winner he was. He was presented with his trophies by Jeff Godwin from Wills and Chris Burke from TAA, with Wal Jackson, the president of Katara, presiding. And as Don said after, he's a very, very proud man. Jeff Godwin from Wills and Chris Burke from TAA made the presentation in conjunction with Wal Jackson, the president of the Katara Bowling Club. And as Don Elsley said afterwards, he was a very, very proud man to win this year's event.
I am very proud, and as I said, very proud of my 2 players, as Don Cross and Johnny Keys, 2 young bowlers in the club. I'm very happy for them.